When the move Shell Smash dropped in Gen 5, Cloyster immediately became a competitive menace, and it has been ever since. 99% of the time, this is because after some setup, it can exploit its rare ability Skill Link, which allows multi-hit attacks to guarantee the maximum amount of hits with things like Icicle Spear. And while it's insanely good, it's also like the only thing that Cloyster ever really does, and it's always expected. So instead of going physical, we're gonna use its marginally worse special attack to catch people off guard. This also frees up its ability slot, so now we can use Shell Armor, meaning we don't get hit by any crazy critical hits to ensure, we can stay bulky long enough to tank attacks and start smashing. We pop a white herb to bring our defense back to normal, and now incoming physical walls get a rude awakening when hit by a big stab Hydro Pump or even Ice Beam. Also, look at Buddy hit that backflip, acrobatic ass clam. Oyster, I guess, shut up. Along with surprise coverage and Terra Blast Electric. Is this optimal? Not really, but sometimes it's fun to switch things up, and so today we're going full Special Sweeper Cloyster. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going jamming out with our clam out. Look, is physical skill link Cloyster one of the main reasons why people use it in the first place? Absolutely, but what's the fun in that? We're switching things up. Everybody loves a little Cloyster surprise, so if that sounds like a fun time to you, consider hitting that subscribe button. I try to do weird stuff with Pokemon, and let's get into the match. Alright, so my opponent decides to lead off with the Hisuian Arcanine. Not expected, but welcome, because I got myself a Milotic, and this thing is allergic to water. So, I'm pretty free to threaten this thing out. I figure surely they switch here, which will allow me to flip turn and then get a little switch initiative, but instead, I'm met with a Wild Charge, which, doesn't really hurt because I'm physically defensive, and then as I flip turn, smack him in the face with my tail on the way out, and we get a big old chunk of damage, while now being able to go into whatever I want. Problem is, Milotic is pretty much what I would have wanted, but Buddy's got balls of steel staying in against a water type, but Red Dog is actually not a bad alternative. I can go into the Dot Spawn here, who, I cannot be touched by any fire, and I can pretty much just body press. If they want to stay in here, they're going to see who the superior dog is. Now, they do swap. I think maybe the thing might be Choice. Don't see an item on it, but I'm not exactly sure. Regardless, they end up going into Superior here, and I'm like, hey, this is fine. I'll do some damage. And the body press goes right through him. So I'm thinking that might not be a Superior after all. I'm having some suspicions. It is going to be the Hisuian Zoroark, so I'm like, I don't have much to do to that. And if I know anything about a Hisuian Zoroark, especially in a matchup like this, it's going to go for a nasty plot. And I will not be allowing any nasty thoughts on my watch. Now, it's still kind of scary. While I do have the ability to swap into Fortress, the reason why I can go into this safely and not worry about setup is because I'm both sturdy with a red card. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to blow the whistle if it touches me, and that's going to be a penalty. So they do go for the nasty plot, and now I'm just a sitting duck in terms of being able to just force him out. So they do go for the Shadow Ball, little ball on ball action. And I do obviously live it with the sturdy. So it is unfortunate. I do have to burn up mostly just all of Fortress and my red card, but at least I'd save that, I'm going to be like, not today. You can come in and try that shit later, but not at this exact moment. Now, I realize they're going to be forced into something random, so I take this opportunity just to set up my Stealth Rock. Now, it does, it draws in Meowscarada, which is also very scary, but he's got a team full of threats, and I have, I've got a Fortress who's basically worthless here. So I decided to stay in, and it just does the sack here. They end up going for the U-turn, which is kind of best case scenario. They kill me with the pivot, meaning now I get to see what they want to switch into and then decide a matchup accordingly and try to get a little something spicy going. So Meowscarada gets tucked back for later, and in comes Corviknight. So first of all, Corviknight comes in. I'm thinking this thing probably wants to defog. I just set up my Stealth Rock, and Corviknight doesn't really have a whole lot of offensive power. So I'm like, it might just be time to get the Cloyster going. This thing would probably enjoy if I was a physical attacker, and we have that little bit of element of surprise on our side. So I go for the Shell Smash. We turn the clam sideways, bust it up a bit. Now all of a sudden, for some reason, that makes me stronger, and I guess makes me more nimble. What is the idea behind Shell Smash? You smash the shell up, make me more nimble, and now I can attack harder. Regardless, I'm feeling pretty ready to serve some sweet watery death to this bird here. So I do get my defenses back to normal with the white herb, which is great. They do click the defog, which is what I kind of expect, and now they're probably like, this is fine. I could take an Icicle Spear, at least one of them, and then it can potentially threaten with something like Body Press. But surprise, I go for the Hydro Pump, some salt water right to the face, ends up knocking out the Corviknight. A special attack there comes in extremely handy against the physical wall. So now they're probably like, okay, did not expect, but they do have another pretty just annoyingly defensive peekaboo bastard in the Toxapex here. So I would ordinarily be kind of extra screwed if it wasn't for the fact that I am Light Bulb Cloyster. I can go for the Terra Electric, and I've got the Terra Blast. So I'm just gonna start blasting. Otherwise, we have no real offensive power against opposing water types, and I'm hoping this thing's physically defensive. I mean, Toxapex in general is just bulky on both sides. But with a Shell Smash, you're gonna have a bad time. I go for the Light Bulb, I can then pull out the Terra Blast, hoping for a knockout here, and it just doesn't quite do enough. It almost gets it. It would have been really satisfying. But luckily, I mean, Toxapex also doesn't have the ability to hit me that hard anyway. And as they go for the Toxic, that is gonna put me on a timer. But I mean, hey, if you're looking at a Shell Smashed Cloyster, you are in fact, you know, on a timer as well. So I take a little bit of poison. Bad thing I'm thinking is they could go for, you know, Baneful Bunker here, but I don't really want to Shell Smash and predict that quite yet. If I get it wrong, I drop my defenses, and honestly, at +2, I'm kind of feeling safe anyway. So they do go for the Baneful Bunker, and yeah, you know, I probably should have predicted that, but I just Terra Blasted anyway. It's going to take one turn of Toxic, and as it's going to start to rack up, we're just going to see if we can rack up as much, you know, damage as possible with the Cloyster. So we're a couple of aquatic fellas. In another universe, we'd probably be homies, chilling in the tide pool. But today, you know, we're looking to zap this thing and then, you know, enjoy the tide pool all to ourselves. So I just go for another Terra Blast here. They are going to end up swapping, and that thing can come back regenerated later, but it's still, we know how much damage a Terra Blast is going to be able to do. As they end up switching into the Hisuian Arcanine, that's a nice little sack switch. We're going to Terra Blast the hell out of this thing, and just like that, we've kind of got their backs up against the wall. While we are Toxic, I mean, there's still turns where they're going to have to just face the wrath of Special Cloyster. So, Arcanine goes down. I'm taking some more Toxic. It's starting to rack up a little bit. Now, as they can go into whatever they want, nothing can outspeed me, and honestly, nothing really wants to deal with any of my attacks here. So, they end up going back into Peekaboo. Now, this thing, it does die to a Terra Blast. I'm thinking, I'm going to predict the Baneful Bunker and just Shell Smash here. Surely they Baneful Bunker. And as I Shell Smash first, I'm over here looking like a fool with a light bulb on my head because they didn't go for the Baneful Bunker. I risk it for the biscuit. I could have just clicked Terra Blast and grabbed the free kill, but now as they end up clicking Recover, that's actually still not horrible because, you know, while they do get back to full, I got another Shell Smash. Now I'm sitting at +4 special attack and speed, and I mean, while Toxic's racking up, they can just Baneful Bunker this time, stalling out another turn of Toxic, which is annoying. I've never in my life met a Toxapex that doesn't just end up to be annoying. I really wish that I had gone for the Terra Blast. They made the nice play there and predicted me to predict them, I guess. And so now we suffer the consequences. And as I take this other turn of Toxic, I have one more left in me, and it can't really Baneful Bunker again. They can roll for the second Protect, as they do, but guess what? It fails. So now we do get the sweet, sweet satisfaction of this Terra Blast coming in and just completely zapping the hell out of the thing. And that's going to take care of the pack. So look, we've gotten rid of both of their defensive threats, being Corviknight along with Toxapex. And sadly, the Toxic did end up being our demise. Nothing like a Poison Clam just knocking itself out. So while we do go down, I've done some work to the squad. Took care of half the team. And now we get to see if we can try to complete things with what we've got left. So we have an empty battlefield here, which is always an interesting time. I'm thinking my best bet is probably just Milotic. I'm defensive. I can pivot with a flip turn. And also just kind of see what they want to go into here. So it turns out they bring in Serperior. Now what they've got left is going to be the Serperior. They have the Hisuian Zoroark along with Meowscarada. So I just decided to click Dragon Tail here. Now I'm thinking I can take at least one attack that this thing wants to throw at me. A Leaf Storm's going to be close, but I think potentially I should be able to take it. I am max physical defense, but I got good special bulk naturally anyway. It turns out they go for the Terra Ground. And I don't really know why they do that, but they you know, they put the Earth on the head. They're able to then go for a Leaf Storm. Does connect, and it knocks me out. Sadly, that's actually not great, because now it just gets a free special attack boost, and all of a sudden, thing is scary. And it's also ground type now, which actually ends up helping me out in turn, because now as I go Virizion, even at +2 special attack, this thing doesn't have much it can touch me with. It can't really Leaf Storm again, and I have so much special defense. So they go for a Glare, though, and it reveals it's going to be more of kind of an annoying Glare one, which sucks. I get paralyzed, but I got the Lumberry, baby. That's why we keep that thing on us. I'm able to cure myself with that paralysis, and then go for a super effective Leaf Blade, which I thought was going to kill. It lives it with like 4 HP. Absolutely busting my balls. I really thought that was going to knock it out, but it turns out the Ground Terra didn't help me as much as I thought it would, and I have to go for another one. But the good thing is, they want to go for another Glare here to ensure that I stay paralyzed, which is fine with me, because then I can just take care of this thing. I do get fully parried, though, because of course I do. Paralysis has got to be the most annoying thing in Pokemon. I think I would rather be put to sleep than paralyzed. At least sleeping, you know what's going to happen. Like you're going to take your guaranteed turns and then you wake up. But paralysis absolutely feels like I want to turn my game off. But luckily, they missed the next Leaf Blade, or Leaf Storm, which is fine. Then I Leaf Blade them back. I grab their Storm and just throw it back in Blade form. And that's going to take care of the Superior. So don't exactly know what the Terra was there for. But, I mean, hey, we take care of the Superior. Also gets rid of the Terra option. And now they've got 2 Mons left, being Meowscarada along with the Hisuian Zoroark. So as they go into the Meowscarada here, don't know actually if this even is it. It could, theoretically could be the Zoroark. But I'm also thinking, unless it has Play Rough, we can take an attack. It does go for the Play Rough, however. And after turning into Fairy type for the stab, that's going to be enough to knock me out. Which kind of stinks, but at this point, now we've got ourselves a 2v2 match, and this late game is kind of wild, because obviously Scyther can't really do much here, and I am kind of forced to go into the Dot Spun. But the good thing is about this Dot Spun, we're about bulky as hell, but it doesn't look like it. I'm literally made out of bread, but I'm defensive as tits, so I'm able to bring this thing in, and while I can take attacks, I can't really hit it that hard offensively either. Now, as they go for a Play Rough, it misses, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty nice. I go for a Play Rough of my own, and that just misses too. So Play Rough, we're not even playing at all, which is kind of hilarious. Gotta be the most Play Rough turn ever. Now, they end up going for it again. It does do about half. I feel like initially, that means this thing is Choice Banded. There's no reason not to go for like a Flower Trick if they have it there. So I'm thinking probably Choice Banded, but I'm not exactly sure. Now, as I go for the Wish, that's just a little insurance policy that I can slowly whittle this thing down. My Play Rough is gonna be Stab. It's gonna be neutral. So I really just need to get some damage here. If I can get it to range to where Quick Attack can finish it off, we might have ourselves a time. But then again, there is still the Hisuian Zoroark in the back, so got a work cut out for us. Now, I do get my wish to come true after connecting on my Play Rough, which is sick. And after some leftovers, we're looking pretty healthy to the point where I should be able to bully this thing into showing him that Bread Dog is crazy. So I go for another wish here, just because I'm thinking, even if they do swap, I probably need it. Now, they connect on another one. Luckily, no crit, which is sweet, because I get that wish off. We hit him with a little howl, and the bread is getting baked out here. So, look, after some leftovers, I know that I need a Protect to be able to guarantee that I'm safe here, and I'm gonna click it. This thing just does not go down as easy as you think. I kind of am liking the Dot Spun, man. It's a very unique and fun mon there. So I go for the Protect. Play Rough probably would have missed anyway, but I Protect just in case, and then I get my wish, and then we're looking real healthy, and hey, they can't really swap Zoroark. I'm feeling like Zoroark's probably Focus Sash, something like that. Don't know exactly, but I'm mostly afraid because it probably has something like Flamethrower for Scyther in the back. And I am frightened, but I mean, at least the best case scenario is that I can knock this thing out with a lot of health still left on the Dot Spun. So I go for one more Play Rough after they hit me with what we're just trading plays out here. Literally, this dog enjoys roughhousing, which is actually kind of fitting. But I get some leftovers. I can take another one, but I need another wish. So I'm like, if you're just gonna continue to click Play Rough without getting crits, thank God, I can continue to wish. So I barely hang on from that one. I'm able to hit him with the wish. And now the question is, do I Protect? Do they expect that and switch into Zoroark? Or what do I do here? I'm just gonna play it safe. Look, I've messed myself up too many times by not playing things safe. So I go for the Protect. It turns out though they do switch. So, you know, going for a Play Rough prediction there would have been actually quite satisfying. But they go Zoroark, and it's always kind of funny when there's nothing left for Zoroark to like illusion into. It's just buddy sometimes gotta be himself, which is honestly a good lesson. So I get my wish, and after leftovers, I'm feeling like I can definitely take an attack from this thing. The problem is, if it sets up with a nasty plot, it'll likely just have enough damage to kind of clean up the game here. So I'm really hoping that I can end up on top here. So first of all, I need to hit it with the Play Rough. I just need to get some amount of chip. And as they go for a Bitter Malice, I'm thinking, hey, that's pretty nice. They did not nasty plot, meaning that I live it, but I get an attack drop. But luckily I connect on a Play Rough, and I do less than half. So I'm in a little bit of a rough spot here versus the Zoroark. Thing's got its weird tentacles floating in the wind. And now at this point, Dot Spun is not safe. Now they go for the Hyper Voice, and I'm thinking, please do not be Throat Spray. If it's Throat Spray, I'm in trouble. And it is Throat Spray. It goes ahead and heals the throat, which now gives it a +1 to special attack, and I am in danger. Scyther is now at the point where if it's got Flamethrower coverage, I definitely go down to that. And also, I'm not faster than it, and I need to hit it with a dual Wing Beat, which sucks. But I go for it anyway, now we get to see what happens. So, check this out. I do outspeed, meaning it's modest rather than timid, but I miss my dual Wing Beat. But then, as they click Shadow Ball, I'm thinking, there's a chance I live this. And I do. I live it with 12 HP, which is absolutely insane. Because now, if I connect on this next dual wing beat, that's a dead Zoroark. And luck, thank God I do. That miss into living there was insane. I think had they clicked Hyper Voice there, 10 more power would have actually knocked me out. So the Shadow Ball play is able to keep us alive. We live it with 12. Scyther, my goat. Now their final mon is going to be Meowscarada. Now this thing is surely faster than Scyther for sure, but what they are not faster than is these hands, baby. I can go for a quick attack, pick off that last amount of HP, and that is going to be the end of the game, which is actually insane. So them first of all running not plus speed nature on the Zoroark, and then being able to live, insane. So that's going to do it for game number 1. That was a pretty wild one, and honestly a really interesting match. But that's also now going to bring us into game number 2, because we're not quite satisfied with our Cloyster yet. So we're going to see if we can get it going a little bit more. And also, look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, first of all, I appreciate you. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. And also, click that like button if you haven't already. It does help out the channel, and I would appreciate it. Now, with that, let's go ahead and get into the next game. Alright, so this time, my opponent decides to straight up just lead off with the Volcarona. And I'm like, brother, slow it down. You don't need to be doing all that quite yet. It is not time to get dancing. It's still the damn middle of the day. Now, as I've got the Milotic, I figure I can still hit it decently hard with a Scald. Plus, again, I'm not afraid of turn 1 setup. How often does that actually work for people? I don't know, but they always try to do it. They're going to go for that Quiver Dance turn 1. I hit it with the Scald just for the chip, and it does do a considerable amount even after the Quiver Dance. Now, that also allows me to stay in and activate my Flame Orb, so the next time I come in, Marble Scale Milotic going to be more annoying than they want to deal with. So, at this point, I figure, alright, enough. Enough of the nonsense. Go ahead and click Giga Drain. I can switch into the Fortress here and allow that red card to kind of do its thing. Now, instead, they decide to go for a second Quiver Dance. Buddy is just feeling... Look, I mean, sometimes you just feel like dancing, and that's fine. So it's now sitting at a very scary amount of boosts, but I mean, Fortress is not afraid. I'm looking at it like a toddler just staring up, but fear not. They go for another dance. They go with the Fire Dance, allows me to live it with the Sturdy, of course, because Walnut is a wall, he's a nut. And we're here to go ahead and pull some red cards on bitches. I go ahead and say, hey, switch that out of here and try that shit. Try that later. It's not going to work. It's not going to work now, at least. But also, knowing that they're going to attack there, that allows me to set up my Stealth Rock. And I'm really hoping that that Moth is not wearing boots. But this does end up dragging in the Garchomp, which is not really bad, but it's also just kind of at least allows me to see what this Chomp is working with. Is it going to set up Stealth Rock of its own? Don't know. But if they don't, I'm just going to conserve the Fortress as a sack switch potentially later, because Milotic just comes easily in on this thing, and it's going to allow me a position because surely they're going to expect an Ice Beam, and then I can get a flip turn on something. So, sadly, however, they do go for the Stealth Rock, so, you know, now Fortress just comes in and dies. I mean, still a decent sack switch option, but, you know, a burnt Marvel-scaled Milotic is about the worst enemy to a Garchomp. So I'm thinking surely they're afraid of an Ice Beam, which I don't even have, and I'm like, do I Dragon Tail, whatever they want to switch into here? Or just to stir things up, or do I click Scald? I have a couple of different options here. I end up deciding to just straight up go for the Scald, because there's really not, I could really just use the guaranteed chip. Plus, if they go something like Flutter Mane, I don't have anything faster than that anyway, and I just need damage on that fella. So, it turns out they do swap into Flutter Mane, which is fine. Takes a little bit of Stealth Rock, which is great. I go for the Scald, mostly because, like, look, everything being burnt, nothing wants to be burnt on their side. I guess if anything, Flutter Mane doesn't mind, but it's still just guaranteed damage every turn on the thing, and just like that, it's pretty much already at half, which feels good. So now, as I'm looking at things, how things are shaping out, I've developed myself an inkling of the plan. Here's how it's going to work out. First of all, what I need to do is I'm going to sack Fortress. That's going to be able to allow me to switch in Cloyster for free. I'm really thinking if Cloyster gets up a Shell Smash, it's gonna do pretty nice. So I go into the Fortress. I'm like, how is it going out here? What a beautiful day, and I'm dead. Just stabbed by some rocks, and that's gonna take care of me. So bad day to be a Walnut, but a good day to now let them Thunderbolt the air, which is what they're gonna click. So they try to Thunderbolt on the Milotic, which is fine, good to know. But also, as it takes a little bit more burn, we're gonna see if we can't get Cloyster working up a little bit something here. So I am gonna go into the Magic Conch. I had a couple different options, but I was mostly thinking that, you know, rather than going Virizion, I'm just gonna bring in Cloyster. I feel like, why not? So I come in, I do take Stealth Rock, which sucks, but now I can go for the Terra Electric, and that's gonna allow me to first be able to take a Thunderbolt from the thing, but also then, after a Shell Smash, I'll be faster, and then I just easily am able to knock it out with either a Terra Blast or an Ice Beam. And the fun part about Terra Blast on Cloyster is also that it doesn't reveal if I'm a physical or special attacker. Now, everybody's just obviously going to just default to being expecting a physical attacker, but, you know, they go for that Thunderbolt. it does do a lot because this thing's Life Orb, which I didn't really know. But I Shell Smash now, turn into the Clam. I mean, we're already a Clam, but we get even more clamular with it. And now after the Shell Smash, we're looking pretty scary. So at this point, we're faster. I get my White Herb to bring my defenses back to normal, which could potentially be kind of important. But also, while I could click, I don't really want to opt for Terra Blast here. Now, the reason for that is because I want to try to bait them into the Quaquaval and then surprise them with the Terra Blast. They don't know that I've got it. So instead, I'm going to click Ice Beam. And also what's kind of nice is I'm hoping they go into Corviknight expecting physical. Now, they do swap out the Flutter Mane, which is fine. And look, they do just go right into the Corviknight. So this thing comes in being like, hey, hopefully someone's got some physical attacks to hit me with. But surprise, Big Metal Bird, I instead have the Ice Beam. Now, it doesn't actually end up knocking the thing out. I think it's got to be just max HP. But that works out nicely because now I can just outspeed it and finish it off with another one. And then I'm thinking, hopefully, I can surprise Quaquaval with the Terra Blast. So just another Corviknight down. The Corviknight is just getting straight up destroyed by Cloysters today. And it's always really nice to knock that thing out before it's able to even do anything. So, they end up now switching. They do go right into the Dancing Peacock. I was hoping Buddy would come in, and I'm like, this is perfect. It's going to just take a Terra Blast and not have a good time. Now, to my surprise, they have the priority with the Aqua Jet, but since Cloyster is such a bulky monster, we're able to live it with 2 HP, which is honestly kind of wild. I can then Terra Blast, surprise, zap him up, and now we got some fried chicken. So, hey, that's pretty nice. Quaquaval, honestly, one of the bigger threats that I was worried about, and now it's gone. So, they have a couple different options on things they might want to swap into here. And as they decide to go Garchomp, surely they have a defensive Terra waiting for me. So instead of going for Ice Beam, I'm instead going to click Hydro Pump, thinking they go Terra something. It's something to just resist an Ice Beam, right? Now, they do bust out the Terra, and I'm thinking, I'm a genius. I can hit it with a Hydro Pump. They do go Terra Steel, which is satisfying because, I mean, they're obviously just expecting the Ice Beam here. And then if I don't miss this Hydro Pump, I'm stoked. Now, it's instead, however, it just finishes me off with the Dragon Claw. And I was like, the hell just happened here? It turns out that's a Choice Scarfed Garchomp, which is confusing. What? Honestly, I'm thinking they didn't even expect to outspeed there. Here's the interesting numbers for you. If that means it's a Jolly max speed Garchomp with a Choice Scarf, and it knows Stealth Rock but and that also means that it's like 10 points faster than me since I'm not timid. I'm actually modest on the Cloyster to get as much firepower. Generally, after a Shell Smash, you're faster than stuff anyway, but you know, I guess not a max speed Chomp. So that is a bit unfortunate. At least we know, however, they are stuck into Dragon Claw, so I can go into the Fairy type and the Dot Spun here, and as I go for the Play Rough, they swap into Volcarona and it misses. So now, just like that, all of a sudden, I'm in a bad position versus Volcarona. But we will still remain hopeful. It would have been very satisfying to get that Hydro Pump off there. I'm still pissed about it. But anyway, I do have to swap here because I can't really let this thing like set up all crazy in front of me. And I also don't have much to touch it with, well, which they don't really know, but I cannot touch it with Dot Spun. Now, as I end up bringing in Milotic here, they do go for the Giga Drain, which is honestly better than had they clicked the Quiver Dance there. But Milotic, sadly, after the burn damage, looks like it's a very good chance that they end up knocking me out with this next Giga Drain, but I think I could still maybe live one. So I want to get some damage here. Turns out they do just Giga Drain again. That is going to knock me out, so down goes the Milotic. But at this point, at least now I can go into whatever I want. And also, since it doesn't have any Quiver Dances, I'm much less afraid. So the funny part is, my best bet here is going to end up being Virizion, who is obviously weak to fire. But since I have so much natural special defensive bulk, I should be able to take a Fire Dance since it doesn't have any Quiver Dances, which is great. And then I can return a little throw a rock at this damn thing and hopefully connect and knock it out. Now, I miss, which is great. I outspeed, I miss, but as it goes for a Fiery Dance here, thank God we have crazy special defense because I'm able to live it. So that is extremely satisfying. Does get a special attack boost, but now here's the thing. Knowing that a Stone Edge is coming, I'm going to predict them to go into the Steel-type Garchomp, and that's just because they know that they can live a Stone Edge and then outspeed me being Choice Scarf. But if I can catch it with a close combat, we're going to be stoked, and I do switch into the Chomp here, which is amazing. Well, we didn't get the Hydro Pump off. Check this out. Chomp comes in thinking Stone Edge. Nope, close combat right to the face. That would have been a very bad payoff situation had they not switched into that, but it seemed like an obvious safe switch for them. So I get the close combat, which is able to knock out the Chomp, which is sick because now Scarf Chomp is out of the way. And I even am able to live the rough skin there, which is great since it wasn't Rocky Helmet, but he was wearing a damn Scarf instead. So I still have the potential for Virizion to just outspeed and knock out the Volcarona. But the bad thing is, they can just go right into Flutter Mane. And there's just so many scary threats. They're down to 3 mons left. I can't really afford to swap this thing out. So I decide to just end up letting it go down to the Flutter Mane. Now that's going to leave me with less options versus the Volcarona. But my game plan is going to be toward playing as a late game Scyther kind of win condition here. So Virizion goes down. Now, obviously I can't really go Scyther. If this asshole was not ghost type, I could just quick attack and knock it out and then be fine. And also that burn chip doesn't end up doing it. So I am forced to essentially go into damn Dotspun here. And while, you know, this is kind of fine. They're going to do a lot of damage to me, but my first thought is that instead I can just end up going for a protect here, stall out a turn, and then I think that burn damage might be able to knock it out. So I go for the safe little protect. I love when he does the little howl, and now I'm relatively safe. And I'm like, please, burn, just do enough to knock it out. I am still very afraid of this Volcarona, but as the leftovers come through, and then this burn damage is gonna get the chip off, it actually is, of course, not quite enough to knock it out. It lives with 1 HP, which is annoying. Now, here's the thing. They're gonna be able to get off an attack here, and I end up wanting to, I misclicked, but I clicked play rough, meaning to go for a wish, knowing that this next turn it goes down anyway. They get off a Thunderbolt, does do a bunch of damage, and then it's just gonna knock itself. It's also just the life orb. So now I play rough the air for absolutely no reason, and I'm pissed. I shouldn't have done that. I probably could have just rolled for another protect chance or clicking wish. Far optimal on that situation, but now I'm left with a half-eaten bread dog, and now we got to deal with this Volcarona. So one good thing about Volcarona is it cannot touch me with a Fiery Dance, obviously with my well-baked body abilities. And also the bad thing is I can't really touch it. Now they end up coming in, they click the Fiery Dance, which is sick because that they did not, they bloody messed up. No one sees this thing ever, so they're like, oh, I could hit that. Nope. Fire just makes me nice and baked, which is sick. So we're over here blazing it 420, and now, honestly, with that +2 defense, I can do decent damage with a body press. Even though it's resisted, it's still gonna do a pretty good amount. Now they go for a Giga Drain. I do just have barely enough to be able to live it, and now the game plan remains. Get enough damage on this thing to the point where I can finish it off with a technician boosted quick attack from Scyther, and then just maybe we can pull this out. So it's gonna need some Quiver Dances to be able to do enough with a Giga Drain to me, since it can't go for, I guess maybe it doesn't have gut, but whatever this thing's working with, it wants to use Giga Drain. So they go for another one. Bad thing, it does get health back from that, so they probably feel inclined to go for that rather than just Quiver Dance here. If I'm them, I'm mashing Quiver Dance here, but I get off another body press, and I'm still in range to the point where I don't go down to another Giga Drain here, especially after leftovers. And once again, Bread Dog is showing its freaking value out here. I'm just going to continue to body press. It goes for one more Giga Drain, which I live with 10. I was really hoping I was going to be able to live that next one, because check this out. While it's at about half, I can get off another body press here. That's going to put it into range where Scyther can obviously easily deal with it. Considering it doesn't even have any Quiver Dances, we're faster naturally anyway. But we also get the Flame Body, which is kind of weird that Dotspun can be burnt. A guy that cannot be touched by fire is now burned. If anybody ordered their toast extra toasty, we got it for you here. So I do live the burn chip, but in the back they still have a Porygon too, and I was kind of hoping that I would have this Dotspun with a body press to be able to finish that matchup up, but it's going to end up being Scyther versus the two that they've got left. So they finished me off with one more Giga Drain, but honestly, it's a job well done by the Dotspun. And now I've got Scyther versus the world here. Now, as Scyther can come in, we did our job perfectly. We stopped that thing from Quiver Dancing. I can easily either outspeed or knock it out with a quick attack. And we go Scyther to see if we can pull the game out. So, here's the thing. I want to go for a quick attack rather than dual wing beat, because it can miss. Also, if I get flame bodied, I'm screwed. I go for the quick attack. Being forced to make physical contact is very scary, but we do not get burnt, which is incredibly clutch, because now, with their final mon being Porygon 2, I should be able to theoretically take one attack from this thing. I mean, it's going to have something that it can hit me relatively hard with, but knowing that I can live one of them, rather than close combating first and then dropping my defenses, I need to instead go for the Swords Dance. That's going to double my attack. And now we're at the point where a close combat should be able to finish it. So as they click Discharge, does a ton of damage. Thankfully, we also do not get paralyzed. And then, thank God, we can go for a close combat, beat the hell out of the duck, and that is going to be able to finish it off. So that was a crazy ending. The stars kind of aligned, and we're able to clutch it out once again with the late game Scyther. So I thought that was just a fun game. Some interesting long ones today, and I had a lot of fun with them. Better than Cloyster doing like a 2-minute battle sweep. But I mean, hey, Got some crazy ones where it came right down to it, and we had a good time with it. So go ahead and make sure to leave a like if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.